Extreme Collectibles with a custom penguin. So I had this guy in one of my videos that I didn't do any statue reviews, and I liked him so much I decided let's actually do a review on him, so that's what we're doing. Let's do it. Extreme Collectibles here with a custom quarter scale penguin statue. See? Penguin. It's surprising to me that there's not a lot more quarter scale penguin statues out there. There's so many Batmans, so many Jokers, so many, Harley Quinns, so many Catwomen. What's the plural of Catwoman? Is it Catwomans or Catwomen? Let me know. But there's almost nothing out there for Joker, and there's nothing out there for Riddler other than this really awesome custom one coming up. Shameless plug. So this is a custom quarter scale penguin. I don't even know of any licensed one besides the NECA one, which I don't buy any NECA pieces. Is that's how it's pronounced? NECA? I always just read it. But anyway, let me do dimensions on this guy during background so I don't forget. So he's short because Penguin's short, so you're looking at about 18 inches with the top of the top hat, and then it's a circle, so it's a 12 and a half, 13 inch diameter on the base. So very small piece, but Penguin is a very small guy. So this was made, I don't even know how long ago this was made. This was a couple years ago, and I think it was sculpted by the commissioner. I'm about to do something really dangerous here. Let's see, there are, how many of these made? 50. This is number 3. This is number 3 of 50. I actually purchased this second hand. It's rare that you see these guys go up. If you're a Batman fan and you see one of these go up, you need to get it because it is one of my favorite statues. So it's pretty simplistic. It's the base, and most of the things are actually attached to the base, either via magnet, peg, or both. Penguin himself is one piece other than his hands. They come out via magnets, and then there are 3 portraits. So the first portrait is my favorite one. The one I have here is the Oswald, the very sinister, reminds me of Batman Returns a little bit with his top hat. Then you have that same exact portrait, and I'm going to leave it up here a little longer than normal because it's amazing looking, but he doesn't have his top hat on, and no room for the cigarette. And then the last is a top hat version, more humanistic version of him, which is my least favorite, but it's still done very well. So I think this guy probably flips. I got it for a little over $1,000, but I've seen him go for I think $1,200 to $1,500. I think that's what I paid. I'd have to look it up. I might have paid more. But it's a fantastic piece. It's one of the top ones in my collection for a character that obviously I'm a Batman fan. I mean, who isn't? But I'm not a big Penguin fan, but this piece I'm such a big fan of. And let's talk about why I'm such a big fan. Conceptually, so it's very cool. So he just robbed a bank. It's pretty obvious. There is a bank bag where the sculpt is magnificent on the back, and there are dollar bills everywhere, and there are, gunshot casings, and then there's newspapers that are sculpted about looking for the Batman. And the tile, the floor, could be his hideout. It could be the bank vault. To me, I think it's the bank vault. And he's standing there with one of his minion penguins, and he has an evil sneer on his smile. He's just a badass. He has the gun up. He's finishing his robbery. He has this trademark umbrella with him and that sinister sneer, and he's dressed to the nines. Just a fabulous representation of Penguin. The concept, the design, they knocked it completely out of the park. My one complaint is the cigarette doesn't stay in very easy, but you kind of expect that. So if you're going to move it, you just have to take it out. So that's the only thing I could find as a flaw in this piece regarding the concept and design. But very, very cool, done very well, executed well. I love it. So starting at the base, there's so much cool stuff going on here. Just let's talk about the cracked tile and the sculpt and the paint on that. And that's even though it's very cool, that's the least cool part of the base. So it looks very good. They did some good job with the inlay of the paint and the texture. I really, really like it. And then they have the sculpted Batman newspapers, the wanted signs, Dead or Alive, $50 million for Batman. And of course you would think this is probably something Penguin wrote, but maybe the city's going after Batman because he's a vigilante. I love the gunshot casings. They look real and they're in a perfect placement right underneath his gun, so he already offloaded a few. Then the money looks real. It's very well done, very well sculpted. I like how it's strewn throughout. And the money bag is top notch. This is so cool. It's the sculpt, it looks like mixed media, and the paint complements it excellent. It's just that brown leathery paint, a few different shades in there. It says the Bank of Gotham, which is why you know he just committed a robbery. Really quick, I'm going to talk about my least favorite piece of the piece is the Penguin. It looks good. It's nothing to write home over. There is a lot of detail in the sculpt when you get really close, but it's not the star of the show, and I mean the Penguin animal, obviously by the pictures. But there's a few different shades of colors in there that are mixed in together, and then also some definite differentiation. But it looks good. It's a good Penguin, but I didn't buy this for the Penguin. And the cool thing about the Penguin, it's not pegged in anywhere, so you can display it without if you don't like it. Which it's not that I dislike it. I just don't love it as much as I love the statue. Or you can put it wherever you want, which is neat. Good option. Then moving on to Penguin Oswald himself. First starting at his very cool boots. Again, they don't look like a statue. It's so cool. There's such a good sculpt on it, and the different leather stitching, the laces, very fancy looking shoes. I like how they're not bright black, because anyone like me that wears bright black business shoes knows that it lasts for less than a day until you got to shine them back up again, so it's very realistic. And then moving on to the sculpt of his pants, this is wow. This is really wow. I love the folds, I love the color, I love the design, I love how it's bunched up at the bottom. Again, looks like mixed media. The paint and the sculpt are fantastic, all the way up to his crotch. Then I want to move up to his coat, and it is just as fantastic as the bag and the pants are, both the sculpt and the paint. And I'm just showing pictures because words don't do this piece justice. It looks very, very cool. They did a great job sculpting it and the paint complementing it everywhere. Then I love his gloves. Again, just great job on the sculpt, on the paint, and this includes the gun. It looks like a real gun. I think they did a great job. This sculpt is just amazing. It's one of the best sculpts I've ever seen, to be honest with you. Then his umbrella, the classic Penguin umbrella. It's almost a little bit too long for me. That's not what she said, but it plays very well. I like how they have the bird, the penguin bird, on the handle, and he's kind of slinging it over his back, and who knows what kind of tricky umbrella this is, but there's some great texture in there, and then kind of that matte, shiny black. Again, I know matte and shiny are probably a little bit opposite. But then let's move to his torso. His suit and bow tie and his vest and his cummerbund. I like how it's showing he has a fat stomach like you think Penguin would have, and they just did a great job sculpting this. And I like the colors overall of the piece. I think it was a good choice. It's really penguin-y. It's very dark, yet not too overpowering. Again, looks like he's wearing real clothes when clearly he's not. And then moving up to his hat really quick. The hat looks good. You can tell it's so funny. All of his clothes from his neck down are, you know, fancy, spruced up. Then his hat looks kind of trashy, but very shiny. So like he found it in the trash and cleaned it up, and there's some good detail in there. And I like that they used a few different color of blacks on there, which is kind of weird to say that there's different colors of blacks, but. Then moving to his portrait, at least my favorite one is the one we're going to look at. This is phenomenal. Not only from the hair on the back, the individual strands and the flow of it, and then it's a different color black than the hat and his gloves altogether, but on his face, there is so much going on here. His teeth and his eyes are what really steals the show, not just because of that shiny gloss over them. but it's fantastic. The paint is mixed well. There's so many different flesh tones. He had some dirty, darker colors like the blacks in there. He has a zit on his elongated nose, and his sneer is perfect. Very well done portrait. And the last thing is the cigarette. Looks like a real cigarette. Looks like it's lit. It's very similar to the Blitzway Sharon Stone. Great job on that. So those are the reasons this is probably one of my top 5 pieces, without a doubt. I don't think a Penguin will come anytime soon, period, but if anyone does come, it'll be very hard to beat this one, and that could be why no one's tried to dish one out. But with so many Batman collectors and only 50 of these guys out there, you would think it would be an opportunity for somebody to jump on right away. So those are my thoughts on custom quarter scale Penguin. If you liked it, please give me a like. More importantly, subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate you watching, and let me know what you think about this piece. Thanks so much. Take care.